Imagine if ChatGPT could actually work for you, just like an employee. Not just be there to answer a question every now and then. Instead, join your team like a 150 IQ plus employee that learns your business, writes for you, analyses reports, all while doing it faster, more accurately, and insane more amounts than your team could possibly do alone. Well, you can. Think of it like hiring a new team member, although this one never sleeps, never takes sick days, and costs less than a coffee a day. In this video, I'm going to show you everything that you need to know about custom GPTs. The difference between normal ChatGPT and a custom GPT, where you can find an absolute treasure trove of custom GPTs that you can start using right away, how you can build your own custom GPT that works like an employee that understands you, your business, and your work. Because if you run a business, you're probably buried in at least communication, probably reporting, and a bunch of information and analysis. And the truth is, GPTs are already better than 99% of us at analysing and summarising data. And even the wizards out there that are incredible data scientists, GPTs are still quicker and infinitely more scalable. So you're probably wondering, why do I need a custom GPT? Well, let me explain the difference between the two of you. So think of it this way. Using normal ChatGPT is like having to explain to someone in exact detail what you want them to do every single time you ask them to do something. You have to give them all the information, all the instructions, and all the processes. A bit like having, a new member of staff to your team or to your company that in the beginning, when you want them to do something, you have to quite literally spoon feed it to them. They can do it, but it takes quite a lot of time to explain it in the beginning. A custom GPT, in comparison, is that same person once they've been trained properly, months and months later. They already understand what good looks like, what the job that needs to be done requires, how you want things written, done, completed, or what tone you like to use, or what your processes, procedures are, where the information lives, and how to put it together to do the job. You don't have to re-explain everything and give it all the detail every single time. They just get on with the job and get it done. And that is exactly like the difference between normal ChatGPT and a custom GPT. So that's exactly what it does. It remembers your instructions, tone, context, data, information you provide it, and applies it automatically every single time. Which all sounds good and well, but how do you use that in real world terms? Well, let me give you a couple of examples and we can work through them and have a quick chat. So why do you care about this and how can it help you in your business, in your day-to-day, in your work? Well, first off, writing. We spend an awful lot of time typing emails, writing information out, reports and things like that. Well, a common problem with using normal ChatGPT is the fact that it doesn't seem to have much character when it writes, and it writes differently every single time. So instead of having things written randomly and that people can obviously tell who've used AI, we can build a custom GPT that manages the tone, the phrasing, the structure of the text outputs. And it's great for doing things like tuning rough drafts into polished emails, quotes, or even business reports. So summarising and clarifying data very quickly, we can actually use a custom GPT to analyse data in the way that we want it to provide the same output every single time. So think about maybe a big business report that gets sent around, a long document, a long PDF. So it can condense sort of long email threads, reports or meeting notes into concise summaries, next steps or bullet point action points for you to take away and know that you've got all the key information instantaneously, which saves you a lot of time in your day-to-day. Which brings us on to our third use case for custom GPTs, and that's interpreting structured data. Maybe you're someone who works in things like Excel reports. Well, we can paste rows from spreadsheets into the GPT and ask questions because we can tell the GPT beforehand what it is, what that data is, and what we want from it, and the context all around it, and how we want our outputs. So all we really need to do is give it the data, and it'll do the work for us. So instead of having to process a report, put filters on, VLOOKUPs, and analyse the data ourselves manually every single time, this will shorten that down to quite literally seconds, whereby you open the report, copy, paste, and click go. And ChatGPT will do it for you. But it'll know exactly what you want it to do rather than you having to prompt it and talk through a normal GPT, saving you loads of time processing data or getting insights or being able to look at your data in a different way and ask questions of it. Now, one of my favourite ways of building custom GPTs is actually giving it a knowledge base of your processes and procedures, or maybe your common questions that get asked for, say, someone who's just joined the company. And instead of someone having to waste the time of going to find someone to ask a question, of them wasting their time in terms of answering that question, we can use a custom GPT, which is loaded with all that information for you to ask, a bit like a helpful friend. You can upload your processes and procedures, or maybe manuals and instructions, so teammates can simply ask questions of the GPT and they get answered straight away, which saves an awful lot of time because people have answers very quickly and people don't have to spend the time answering the questions. And similar to the point I just said, we can use that then to recall and reason over knowledge bases. And that might just not be a PDF. That can be absolutely any electronic document that you give it and store in the GPT's knowledge base. It will allow us to pull that information from and answer questions of it. So that could be anything from sales data to processes to updates and anything in between. And that brings me on to the last use case for a custom GPT in a business. And that is generating documents from predefined frameworks. And this example, I'm going to use like an RFQ. So we've already told the GPT the kind of format and the data we want. We might have some pricing structure or data on there that we want to quote from. So all we really need to do is type into the GPT a customer's email of what they want or what we want it to spit out. And it will then give us a nice structured response, maybe with the pricing according to the database it has access to, along with a nice message. We can do literally anything that anyone could possibly want. And this can work for pretty much anything whereby we've got pre-existing data and some kind of output that we want time and time again. So they're not a magical fix, but what they do is remove all the thinking time and the processing time between having to ask or answer questions or between having to analyse data in, allow the brain to think about it and structure it and spit out what we want it to look like. So instead of having to model and play around with ChatGPT and spend hours messaging back and forth, when we know we're going to be doing this every now and then, or every week, or even every day, we can just build a GPT, which I'm going to show you how to do in a second, to do it for us. And the best bit of news of all is a lot of these GPTs have already been made by kind, helpful people who've had the problems before you and decided to build a custom GPT to solve it for themselves, and now is shared with you completely for free. So here we are, we're in ChatGPT. And first off, I'm going to show you the treasure trove of GPTs that I promised you. Now, most of you have been in this window and probably typed something in here, but instead, I'm going to show you this explore button. And this one click away from all the GPTs you never thought you could use. And here we have it. Now, you'll see a couple of names you might recognize, but as you scroll down, this is essentially a bit like the App Store on Apple, but a marketplace for GPTs on ChatGPT. And all of these will have different purposes in terms of what they do. So something like DALL-E is a specific GPT using OpenAI technology, ChatGPT's company name, to make amazing images, creative writing coach, colouring book hero. Now, for work, perhaps we want to look at something more like an AI humanizer, which will allow us to write a little bit more human-like, rather than it coming across like you're obviously using ChatGPT. So let's have a quick look. I'm just going to type in email here and see what the search comes back with. So it's just going to come up in this box in just a second. And what this is doing is searching much like you would on an app store. So sales and emails coach. So this is fantastic. So what you could put in here is your sales emails to analyze the conversations to work out, are you doing a good job? Or AI email writer, marketing copywriter, email and mail writer, maybe report. Let's see what it says about that. This might give you some GPTs that's already been made and designed to help you write reports a little bit better. So a researcher, data analyst and report AI. So there's lots of GPTs already. So I would ask you if you just want to write emails a little bit more effectively, then try one of these. But if you want to build something specific, let's go for it. So over here, we're going to click create. And this is going to bring up this new window. Now, we have two sort of sections in this area. You've got create, which is it's like your AI support builder to build your AI ChatGPT. And in here, you can type the instructions of what you want to do. And I'm going to come to that in a second because it's probably the easiest, most simple way of doing things. But you can drop into this configure tab, which is where you can name your GPT, give it a description. You can put the instructions in. So that's your prompt for your GPT, which is create tab will do for you. You can tell it how you always want to start a conversation. So we'll just say, in Old English, good day, kind sir. It's always talking to me. There's GPTs for Joseph. We could give it some other conversation starters, good day miss or whatever. Now, use your knowledge. This is where you upload files. So I'm going to show you how to do this all in this create button because this is the simplest, quickest way to do it. But you can see in here, step by step, what it wanted to do. Now, for the sake of this example, I have got a company policy and procedure document, which is how I think that these sort of GPTs can be used really, really effectively within companies, where this policy and procedure has everything along HR policies, company policies, all these different things, new starters, holidays, everything a new employee or current employee will want to know that we should have available to people anyway. But you know, it's like people forget. So this way we can upload the document here, and I'm going to use ChatGPT 4 instead. We're going to take image generation off because we don't worry about wanting to do an image. And we've even got a bit of web search, but we're going to take that off too. So this is what it can actually do. It can do all this data analysis. And like I was talking about in a second, you've got all these features. Now, what's important is that if you just click create, it will configure all that for you based off what you ask it to do. One quick note, even down to actions, right? When you click this button here, this gets a little bit more complicated, but you can get a GPT to do things for you as if it's an agent. So you've got something called an AI key or an OAuth authentication key. And with a little bit of code and given access to this key, you can get GPTs to do things with you on other tools. But that's for a different day, for a different video. Let's go back to this. And we're going to create. So you are going to be a helpful. Tell you what, and come back to you in a second once this is typed. So here's the prompt. You're going to be a helpful assistant who's super chirpy and professional. Your sole job is to review company P's and P's and answer the questions quickly and friendly. Make sure to always check if they understand. Here's the P and P. And I'm going to attach here. This is a really super simple, easy way of building these GPTs out. You can get super complicated with it, and we will talk through that in other videos. But for the sake of being in a workplace and being able to have all the questions answered on P's and P's, this is a good way of doing it, isn't it? And you can add all these PDFs in here. So you can add as much as you want in terms of data to give it knowledge. Good day, kind sir. Unless it clicks send. And what's going to happen now, you'll see this little building tool come down here. And it's going to tell you that it's configuring and building the GPT for you. So just take it, there we go, updating GPT. Just taking the prompt, it's working out what it wants it to do with it, like when you normally use ChatGPT, but instead the output is not a text response to you. Instead, the output is building this for you. It's putting the data in the right areas. It's making sure it understands the knowledge base. It's providing the context. It's providing the structure how it should be responding. And it's giving it all these instructions so we have a repeatable outcome each time. And it's done. That's how quick we can build your first simple GPT. Can you explain this section of the P&P? So that would be you telling it something or whatever. So this side is what you will see when you're facing the GPT and using it day to day. If we just, so this is great. So this is great. Finish it. Now, obviously, we would test it a little bit first, but just for the sake of this video, I want to show you how quickly you can go from ChatGPT 0 to Custom GPT Hero. And it'll just generate the profile picture. This is always something that gets a little bit sticky with these custom GPTs. There's no need for a picture, yet it always insists on trying to make one and normally catches itself out. So if you are stuck in this position, just move past it. Yeah, there we go. It's looking at having trouble. It's always the same for some reason. Damn OpenAI. But we don't need a picture on our GPTs. We can go pictureless, soulless. Anyway, click create. Click create. You can put it on the GPT store if you want it for other people to use. I'm just going to leave only me because this is the world's most boring GPT and humanity will not benefit from having public access to GPT. And that is literally just all loading now into the OpenAI ChatGPT ecospace. So under 3 or 4 minutes, you've created this GPT. And now we've got a professional on our company P's and P's. And Policy Pal has been created. Now, imagine you can just change this name as well if you wanted to name the company. So just a quick check now, if we jump back into this tab, actually I'll show you this. So what it's done is created these instructions for you. It's given us some conversation starters. There's the knowledge like we spoke about. We don't need any of this, which will make it a lot quicker. And obviously we don't need any actions. And I've picked ChatGPT 4 because it's a bit of a quicker model, but we could do 5.1 instant, 5 instant. Let's go 5 instant actually. If you pick a thinking model, it will think for longer. And it will see it's updating with that little wheel over there. So I'm going to put this back over here and come back to create. So if it hasn't created everything the way you wanted it to, you can jump into here and give it a little edit to make it even better. But Policy Pal, we're going to go for, what company are we? We are the, I shouldn't take this long to pick this, it's not important. We'll go for the Bob company. What a rubbish name I've decided to pick there. We're going to go for Bob. So Bob Policy Pal, we're going to ask a question. Are you ready? So, what is the annual leave policy? So think now, how many times has this email been typed to a HR or Zoom to HR? Or you've had to go into read it, go into the knowledge and think, oh, remember that stored drive that it's in? Remember that space that it's in? And within 2 or 3 seconds, here's an answer. Annual leave policy at a glance. Entitlement, you're entitled to 5.6 of paid leave a year. Brilliant holiday package. This is in line with the working time regulations of 1998. Okay, I'm a new employee just started today. Oh my god. Today What do I need to know? So as you can imagine, this is just one example of a P&P. Imagine having all these different PDFs and documents that has all the knowledge of your company, whether that's data that you want to work with and analyse in this manner and recall things back from, or whether it's, employee facing, just like this. Top things you need to know for your first day: probation period, hours of work, breaks, sickness, absence, dress code. So we don't have to ask these questions. One of my big bugbears of modern day working, between emails, between systems, between spreadsheets, reports, and everything else in terms of communication and data that we manage, is that the admin is unreal. The typing of emails is unreal. The reading, the moving information around it's beyond. So something like this allows us to access our data super quickly, meaning we haven't got to waste the time to ask someone else a question, but we also get the answer quicker than we could if we had to ask them in the first place. So we save time both sides. That is the most basic, simple, boring company P&P GPT you could ever imagine. But now, if you wanted to build one of these for yourself and save time in your department, your company, your team, whoever it may be, or you just want to make one for your customers, you might be a business that has plenty of questions that customers ask. And if we jump into the GPT space, you'll see that businesses are now starting to make custom GPTs to answer questions like this and to build live things off it. But we'll go through that in the next couple of weeks. So I hope that makes sense, and you can see the value in building one for yourself, building one for your team, or building it for your day-to-day. And there we have it, a custom GPT literally in minutes that can start working for you, doing things for you, and removing that legwork and admin work off of your plate. So to show how far this goes, in the next 3 videos I'm going to build a GPT for a really specific business use case that saves time, makes something more efficient, and makes you more productive. So we're going to do a process coach, which is very similar to the one we just done, but instead it's going to sit alongside a scribe or a process that will talk employees, team members, through how to do something, whether that's on the system or software, or to perform an activity or task in work physically. What it does is it allows them to know exactly what they're doing and reduces the time and the cost of having to have someone standing there or answering the questions for them. And then the second GPT we're going to build is a reply refiner GPT. So you might work in customer service or sales. You may have a way in which you speak and you like to speak to customers that you want to nail and make sure is repeatable every single time. You also might have the problem that you have to write loads of emails all the time. So this will allow you to give the bare information, the response of the customer or the email from the customer, or maybe an internal email, and write a really nice, enriched, clear response in your tone of voice, repeatedly the same every single time, using and building a GPT just like this. And the third and final one is a data analysis GPT. If you work in spreadsheets or reports, which a lot of professionals do, and most certainly a lot of business owners do, you're regularly looking for the same sort of insights, the comparisons between certain bits of data in your business. Maybe you're trying to build a report or an update from it. Well, if you're anyone who does anything like that, then we can build a GPT to do that analysis faster for you every single time. And we're going to go through that over the next 3 days, a GPT a day. It's almost like the 12 days of Christmas, but for ChatGPT. Far less exciting than the 12 days of Christmas. No, it's not. It's very beneficial to you. The key takeaway I wanted to think about here is something I've talked about in a lot of my videos, and I truly believe this from the bottom of my heart and the top of my brain, is that AI systems and AI tools, when used properly, are incredible for businesses. They allow you to protect margin, be more efficient, respond to customers better, and just allow you to drive your metrics forward without the need of having to invest in more tools, software, or people. And at a time where things to be costing more than ever and customer demands are higher than ever, that is almost like magic. But the most important thing is understanding where your weaknesses are, where your problems and bottlenecks are, and how you can leverage and use these tools to solve them. Before you buy more software or invest in more people, watch a couple of these videos. Because, as you can see, just from these GPTs, you can build systems to think and do things for you repeatedly every single time with next to nothing in terms of how little ChatGPT costs. Whether you're a business owner or a leader, these things can free up time in your... Most importantly, if your team knows how to use them, can massively increase the productivity and efficiency of your company. And before I go, make sure you subscribe, hit the notifications button. If you're a business owner who wants to understand more about AI systems and integrating AI into your business and how you can solve problems and create opportunities, then I'm the person for you. I'm a nerd for this stuff. So anyway, I'll see you in the video tomorrow, and that will be the Process Coach GPT from start to finish. Have an awesome day. Thank you very much for watching.